Welcome back to 100 Days of Book Recommendations. Today I'm going to be recommending Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer. I think this is my first nonfiction recommendation of the series. This is Jon Krakauer's true account of the 1996 Mount Everest disaster. If you're unfamiliar, in 1996, Jon Krakauer was on an expedition to climb Mount Everest for a magazine that he worked for at the time. He's on a team that's led by Rob Hall, and there is another team that is being led by a climber named Scott Fisher that is climbing at the same time. The groups are very closely linked, and on the day of the summit, because of some choices that the expedition leaders make, many of them pass away, including both Rob Hall and Scott Fisher. This book is about Jon Krakauer's experience climbing Everest, and also the history of Mount Everest and climbing Everest. Is also a really interesting grappling with the guilt that Jon Krakauer feels for being involved in this expedition. He spends a lot of the book examining whether or not his presence on this expedition led to these deaths. Because he's a journalist and he's writing a story for a magazine that is going to be very public, the expeditions make certain decisions that are incredibly detrimental to the lives of the entire teams, and it's just a really interesting examination of what it means to climb Everest and the overall harm that humans do to the planet rather than good. There's a lot of musings in here about whether or not it is even ethical to continue to climb Mount Everest. I have a really weird fascination with Mount Everest. I would never ever climb it. Like, that's an absolute no. Not even like thinking about the ethical reasons behind that, but also just the fact that I would never want to do that. But I like to watch the TikToks and stories of people climbing Everest every year, and this is one of the most comprehensive but interesting accounts of climbing Mount Everest. It's an accurate depiction because Jon Krakauer was there. He did the climb himself. It's an incredibly raw and emotional story, and I think there are a lot of really positive things to come out of reading this book. So if you're at all interested in Mount Everest or even just like disasters in general, then I would say pick this one up.